Hey everyone, Skoggul here doing another matchup video. We're going to do Akali versus Twisted Fate. And this matchup from levels 1 to 5, all you really want to do is survive it, get as much farm as you can, try to stay even or get as ahead if you can on Twisted Fate, and get to 6 where you can assassinate him. It's going to be really hard to get onto him and stick onto him before then, so go ahead and use your Q to farm and let him push if he's going to stay aggressive and push. You can farm at the tower fairly well with your abilities, your manaless. So he can't really push you out of farm. You have to dodge his Qs. When he throws a gold card up, you need to stay away from him. So don't let him hit you with the gold card. If you're Twisted Fate on this, you would do the same thing. Even though I just said that Akali, you let him push. With Twisted Fate, you do push and make them farm under the tower. And then it lets you farm fairly easily and make sure that Akali can't jump on you. Because if she can get away pushing on you and hit Qs and autos on you, you're going to have a hard time of it before 6. As you're not that strong, you just have pushing power. And you can get the wave pushing for you, which means she'd take too much auto or damage from creeps to trade with you. And that's where Twisted Fate's strength lies, besides the fact that he can just stun her and walk away if she tries to get too aggressive. And if you get stunned by Twisted Fate's gold card amongst the big creep wave because he's pushing, it's going to really hurt. So that's what you got to look for if you're Twisted Fate. If you're Akali, you're just trying to get farmed and get up there in levels. And then at 6 is when you really want to start turning the aggression on here. So Twisted, and you just have to realize when he can throw his cards up is when you've got to play it really safe. So right here, the gold card, but she gets it in her shroud, so she's okay. So you still do a fair amount of damage, and there, Hecarim with the knockback forces the flash, but that was the first time she had to use any potions, so she doesn't necessarily have to back. So just realize that if you have 3 potions, you're going to get most of your life back. Plus, now Akali has it. It's different. She always has her double passives. It was easy enough to get before with runes and masteries. Now it's an automatic thing. You can't even screw it up by messing up your runes or masteries or picking the wrong item at the beginning. You just always get it. So it opens up different builds, different paths you can go on Akali. So you have enough spell vamp and with a couple potions to be okay. And there he landed his gold card, but it was so deep under the tower there was almost no follow-up. So just got to realize the burst that comes out at level 6 is really huge as soon as you can get a few stacks onto your the way it works, you can get up to 3 leaps or 3 jumps, whatever you want to call them, 3 stacks onto your ult. And then when you have those stacks, you can really get going on Twisted Fate. Even his stun and then he walks away, you're still going to be able to catch up again. And it doesn't really matter. So at this point, at 5, if you can get some harass down, it's going to stick and make him in a bad position. So here you can play a little more aggressive, you'll be alright. And Twisted Fate has a hard time sticking too much damage with the shroud. So as much as I was saying you need to be passive before, at this point you do not need to be passive. 6 is around the corner and you want to have him not be at full health. He does have the range pushing advantage, but you have the ability. See, now 6 is here. All you need is that little bit of an opening and you can get going on him. All you need is your ult to start stacking up charges and you'll be ready. So here it's a little pushed and Twisted Fate goes to buy. Tell your teammates when you're going against Twisted Fate that he's ready to go, and if he goes, try to keep tabs on him, try to keep your eyes when he's ulting around. And at this point, this is something I'm going to note in this game because it's very relevant to what happens really soon. Nasus is roaming. Nasus got counterpicked pretty hard with Teemo. he's going to have a really hard time doing much against Teemo, as he just doesn't have the range. There's not much he can do to close the gap. He has no gap closers, no way to really get onto Teemo and do much, and Teemo's freezing the lane and just going to make life hell for Nasus. And Akali has the ability to play top or mid at an extremely high level, and that's going to be something she does in this game. Is you can say, nope, I'm mid, and you can force Nasus to wander around the map, and you can call him a troll or do whatever, or you could do what this Akali does and lane swap for him. And since Akali can jump right on to Teemo and assassinate him as well, just go start killing Teemo instead, which is what this Akali does. And this Akali goes and wins that, and then Nasus is able to do just fine in this lane and catch right back up and actually get ahead of where Teemo was at when Teemo was way ahead at this point. Nasus can close the gap and catch up. Teemo's ahead in levels, Teemo's ahead in gold, and Nasus can catch up if given the opportunity. And you can see the assassination. This is why I said wait till 6. There's the stun, doesn't matter, enough charges on the ult, makes no difference. There's the 3 charges onto the ult, and Akali's just fine. And Nasus is asking for the lane swap. Akali obliges, and Teemo can no longer snowball onto Nasus. Nasus, even at level 4, actually can hold up against this TF 3 levels higher, and Akali will be just fine against Teemo, especially with that kill now. Akali had an interesting start. Go Sheen. I usually go Hextech, but this Akali's doing fantastic, so maybe you can watch what this Akali does if you like how she's playing. So this Akali's pulling out the Hextech or the Sheen for the higher burst. Uses it really well, really bursts out people. Takes out Twisted Fate in a hurry, as you saw. It does a lot of damage. Just overall a good item onto any bursty assassin mage that also applies auto attacks if you're going to be building a Lich Bane at some point. And so Akali's letting the lane push to do the exact opposite of what Teemo was doing. Teemo was letting it freeze there, so Akali's just going to let it freeze back and make Teemo's magic work against him and try to force him out. And Nasus is given some lane, and he's going to be able to catch up some instead of just being useless, which is what would have happened. It happens in a lot of games, especially at lower elos, and then everyone just starts raging and calling everyone bad instead of just realizing that maybe they just had a bad lane matchup or things weren't going good, and there might be things you can do to turn the lane around. I don't suggest this if you couldn't handle the lane, as it might just go bad for you instead, or also. But if it's at all a possibility, I strongly suggest it. You could see here how it wasn't even a problem for Akali. She's just going to do the same thing to Teemo that she was doing to Twisted Fate and do her Akali thing. So even with the landmines that Teemo has put everywhere, it's going to be okay. And he pink warded that brush trying to fight, but now it's not in the middle of the lane, so that's kind of a mini win for Akali. Is he's going to have to buy another one if he wants it for the middle of the lane to deal with the Shroud. And Nasus is able to pick up a kill with a gank onto Twisted Fate, and that's really going to help Nasus catch up. So Twisted Fate's only 8, Teemo's still 7, and Nasus is now 7. It was 4 on Nasus, and it was 7 on Teemo, so I'm just commenting on that since it was a really big snowball for Teemo before, and now it's really not, and Nasus is back in this game. And basically, try to think of the choke points when you're going against Teemo and not checking them unless you're trying to clear them out because you don't think Teemo's a threat right then, because you're going to run into shrooms otherwise. Like that. And here, again, just the burst, even with all the shrooms and everything, with all the lifesteal and spell vamp, she keeps herself barely alive. So this is probably one of the cool tricks that And the craziness of Akali is right here. As here comes Twisted Fate using his ultimate, using the cover of Brush and kiting out his gold card. There will be no stun. At this point he basically has auto attacks, dodging the cards and just not allowing the return damage because of the shroud. Able to pick up an easy kill 100-0 with no life. So that was kind of crazy, and that's what the swap allowed. Is now bottom both teams have lost the tower, but because of the swap now your top's winning, your top's okay. You can just see how the difference is. Yeah, you can see how Nasus is now caught up, just about basically dead even with Teemo, and Akali 4,300 to 3,000 on Twisted Fate, way ahead, and you're now in an even game. Your Caitlyn is ahead just barely of their Varus. Your jungler's doing just fine, so pretty good game overall for Akali and his team. I would say a lot of that really has been set up by the lane swap. Otherwise it could have been a lot worse. So here she's going to be building into the Hextech Revolver. Max your Q first, your E second. Always take points into R on Akali when you can. That's going to be her basic setup almost in every game you can get to. And then here she uses the Sheen procs every chance she can to get this tower down fast. Q onto a minion, hit the tower. E the minions, hit the tower. Q a minion, and here they just set up an ambush. She doesn't have many places to go. With Teemo poisons and tech room damage, they just set up an ambush hoping they'd go there. Wards could have avoided that, but it didn't really matter. Other than they'll lose a tower for it. Teemo's gonna take top for it. You can see how Zen Xiao's having himself a great game too. So Hecarim's farming away, so he's doing good. He's doing okay himself. And Teemo's going to take the tower. It took both Hecarim and Teemo and the surprise at the tower. If it wasn't for that, she probably could have returned a kill. But she's going to throw this down and catch Teemo trying to base and just take him out. There was nowhere for him to go. If she catches him with a couple charges onto her ult, he's just going to die. He needed the help of the tower and Hecarim to even have a chance. And then she's can just go take this tower for free. You could see they were just fighting bottom. So at this point, her best bet would be to go take an objective, which would be top tower. So hopefully you learned something and you can help out a teammate who's struggling. Lane swap if it's at all available to you and you're a mid or a top laner, and the lane swap's available to save a teammate and help you get a second carry out of the game. Anyhow, take care.